Hello, hello.
Hello. Oh, yo, dude, how you doing?
Good, good. Doing great.
Nice. It's always good to hear. Uh, I am going to be logging into the European server for this one, correct?
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. I'm on my way. So dude, how's it been going since the last conversation we had?
Yeah, I've a little bit of mixed results, I guess, but
Okay.
but yeah, still. I think my Zerg versus Terran is like maybe slowly improving. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. ZV, I'll say
I've
this.
also been. Oh,
Oh, you go. No worries. Go ahead.
now I was just gonna say I've also been bailing busted a lot, but I think we're not doing that today.
I mean, if you wanted to, we could touch on that as well. But yeah, no. ZVT, I'm not gonna lie, dude. It is very difficult. It is. I really do think that is the hardest matchup right now for Zerg. Um, but uh, give me a quick. So okay, before I say this, I'll say if you would like, we could dedicate a portion of this to like I don't think if we went over like ling bane stuff, I could probably give you like a quick tip thing where maybe we could spend like 10 minutes on it and you could get some ideas on how to like play it out better. But for ZVT, um just like I guess give me a quick rundown again on what's going on, like what you're trying to aim for in your games. And
Yeah.
yeah.
So let's see, Diamond 1, yeah, still. Third, um, trying to essentially play macro style. For Zerg versus Terran against Bio, I go ling bane Hydra every game,
Okay.
and against Mech, I go Hydra Swarm Host. Um,
And what's been
Roach Hydra Swarm Host, I
what
guess, every game.
what's been your overall bane with Terran? Like what's been the thing that just fucking ruins you when they do it?
So I think I still get owned by Hellbats
Okay.
regularly.
Okay.
That's a common one.
Do you
I
feel,
think battle cruisers are quite common too.
the quick question
Yeah.
on those? Do you feel like you scout it before it happens, or do you feel like you're seeing it happen as it happens?
No, honest. I probably upon reflection, I think the main problem is understanding what the hell's going on.
Okay.
Because it's obviously it's a lot easier
Sure. That's what I
if
mean.
I get an inkling what's going on.
Yeah. So we could definitely take take you know away this lesson to kind of give you a way in the first 4 to 5 minutes of the game. We can give you a way to how to read a build a lot better, like really think critically about stuff. If you want to focus on that, so you can like you can
Yeah,
like
that actually sounds a
understand.
lot really good.
Okay. So we'll definitely spend a lot of time doing some understanding, and like for instance, if I don't know if you have a game or not that you want to look at, but we can definitely take if you do, we could definitely take a look at like or like maybe like one of your last ZVTs. We could just talk about what you should be looking for and when you should be looking for
Yeah.
things. Um,
So I
because go ahead.
no, I have I have a few games. I realized a patch fucked a
Yeah,
lot of my replays for ladder or for like shared viewing, right?
sure.
Um,
If you
but I have a couple from today and yesterday.
if you wanted to use one, if you thought one was really good, you could just if you open up your folder, you could just drag and drop it to me in Discord, and we could watch it through the stream. It wouldn't be 100% perfect delay. It'd probably be like for you, it'd probably be like a 5 second delay, unfortunately. But uh, if you wanted to do that, if there was a replay that's just way better, we could totally do that if you
Yeah,
still wanted to.
I don't know. I don't really have that one that is like super excellent
Okay,
either.
sure, that's fine.
I guess they're all.
No worries. But yeah, so I guess we could really talk about like how to look for and read things and what you see out of Terran. Um, and then if I see your build, like I'll take a look at what your build is and like how your Lingbane Hydra's going. I think Roach Hydra into Swarmhost against Mech. I think that's great. I think the only thing I would say about that is I think roaches should just be the opener there. That's it. Like roaches open, but then after the opener, once you actually start making swarm host, stop making roaches and only make hydras. That's the only thing I would say about that style. That's a very specific thing because roaches and swarm host do the same thing. It's just swarm hosts do it better than roaches do. They both meet shield and just get in the front line and just kill shit. But swarm hosts are better because you don't actually lose them. It's the locusts that die, which are free.
Yeah, so I should aim for a Hydra Swarm Host army.
Overall, like you have to open with roaches though, because if you're fighting mech like with lots of Hellions and shit right away, and you're like, hold on, let me make some Hydras, you're just gonna fucking die.
So in some sense, it's a little bit like in Zerg versus Protoss, I sort of aim often for like a Hydra lurker thing.
Yeah.
So obviously, I need roaches in the process not to get completely killed.
For sure. And I would say honestly, the same thing against Terran. If you wanted to, that for now we're talking about bio. If you wanted to open up like Ling, Bane, Hydra, you totally could. That's a totally fine opener. And then you could add in, like for late game, once you have like Hive Tech, instead of going into like just in like I don't know if you ever go ultras, but you could still go ultras with this, but you could also go lurkers if you wanted to with this and versus bio. Like lurkers are fucking amazing versus bio. The only thing that makes your life harder is if they have a ton of tanks, realistically. Because again, we're talking Diamond League, and there's another option too, which is like mass liberators or mass ghosts could definitely fuck over lurkers, but it's a lot harder to use those units for Terran and set them up properly than it is to just use a bunch of tanks, because tanks all you do is you just get near their base and you just siege everything and you're like good to go. But if you have never tried lurkers versus bio, or you don't do it very often, it's definitely not a bad choice. And if you ever play someone who's a Widow Mine abuser, like you're like, oh wow, this guy's got 50 fucking Widow Mines. Lurkers are so good there. They're so good. But yeah. Anyways, we could jump into it. And here's what I'm thinking for a good, well-rounded lesson. If you'd like, I'm thinking we can, if you want to, we don't have to do this, but if you want to, we can start on some how to deal with Baneling ideas, and then jump into some ZVT, how to scout, and just get a general update on your comp. All right, so to specify, what do you think you struggle with more, or maybe both, but is it the all-in phase of Ling Bane, like let's say like a 13-12 Ling Bane all-in, or is it more like the 3-base Ling Bane pressures with like mass potential units, and maybe they macro, maybe they all-in you, stuff like that?
Yeah, I think the latter probably.
Okay.
Is the worst.
Do you feel confident defending Ling Bane all-ins though, off of like one base?
Not really, no.
Okay.
I think I have like a couple of examples of me dying to do that today too.
Or
someone who opens like early pool.
I'm gonna put you into live coaching today. Okay, this is gonna be some live games for ZVZ. So just go to custom games and then just make whatever ladder map you want to make. Just make something you're familiar with, and we'll do 2 versions really fast, and we'll talk about it super quick. We'll probably spend like maybe 15 minutes on this, and then we'll go over to ZVT. But basically, what I want you to do is the first game, I'm going to have you play your style. Just do whatever you want to do. And I'm going to all-in you, and we'll see how you hold. And then I'm going to play you a second time, and I'm going to now defend, and I want you to do the same all-in I did to you. I'll have you do it to me. And if you don't know how to do it perfectly, I can tell you how to do it really fast. It's super simple. But yeah, I'll try to talk to you less during this. If you want to ask me a question, by all means, totally ask me something, but I'll try to not distract you. But just know, I am going to all-in you with Banelings, okay? That's going to happen.
Yeah.
All right, whenever you're ready, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to talking and playing at the same time. It's definitely not.
Yeah, that's going to be super distracting.
I would make a really bad streamer.
That's all good. All right, well, good luck, dude. All right, boys. We're going to all the crap out of him right now with some 13-12 Ling Bane action. Alright, so I'm getting speeder now, and I'm going to go all in this guy. Big time, boys. I'll go on Mr. Test. Mr. Taste. Martin. And we'll see how he holds. There's a couple tricks that makes it super easy to defend all-ins. It's basically don't spend your queen energy. And, it's not spending your queen energy, and, identifying to make lings soon enough with your overlord.
Successful. Swarm forces of sweat attack has evolved.
Okay, so we actually didn't inject. I'm just gonna expand this more for more larva. But yeah, we didn't inject for a moment there, so that's pretty bad. But nice. Okay, good for him. He's got queen spine now. It's still looking pretty dicey. It's not actually like great overall for him, but that is pretty good overall. That that he now has queen set up with spine with bane. Okay, once these last lings get here, we'll go. See if we can set off a bane or something in the meantime. Okay, so the plan is going to be to overpower the spine crawler. Okay, set up the banes around the spine initially. Okay. No, this will be hard because you just lost all his queens, so we do 1 by 1 banes. This is gonna be rough. Alright, GG, dude.
Yeah, I
Alright,
think that was a fairly fair representation of how well it usually goes.
sure. That was actually not bad, but now, so, just host up the replay really quick and then make me lead, and then I'll talk about a couple things really fast. We'll just skip to the, like, your defense overall was actually very not bad. It was definitely like you got to a point where it was okay. But I mean the opener definitely hurt you a lot with how many drones died. So we'll look at a couple things that you're doing and just see if we can fix it. And there's one key point that's huge in the early game before the fight even happens about how you need to set up your fight, basically. Because your setup fucked you, but then your mitigation, like once it started happening, was actually not that bad. It was pretty decent. Alright, so you 16 hatch rate, which is perfect. Hatch rate was very hard to kill because it was already done. You got, you know, really quick banes as well, which I thought was great. But here's the key, okay? Here's the key. If you play against someone, here's a huge tip. If you ever play against someone who's going for a 12 pull versus a 13-12, a lot of people don't really understand this difference. But you did the correct thing with one of the things you did was right, and one of the things you did was wrong, okay? The thing I would say you did that was wrong is you waited too long to jump on my banes, and you tried to jump on my banes with your Zerglings, that is. But what happened was your lings overextended a little bit, and I get speed kicked in, and then some of your lings died. It wasn't a ton of them. Thank God for that, because if it was all of your lings, or like a majority of them, that would have really sucked. Because you have to run away from banes, and if you run away from banes, the speedlings are just beating on you the whole time. Chasing the banes early on, you have to make that move like immediately if you see them right away. Otherwise, it's like if you think you're like, oh well, you only have like 4 lings here right now and 2 banes are morphing, and I have 6 lings at the moment. It's still even a risk to do it then. I would say probably just don't do it. Like if you know it's ling bane, probably just play defensive and let your opponent just let them make banes. Because the last thing you want to have happen is have your lings overextended when speed finishes, and then you just lose all your lings. So I think the overextension part was like generally speaking, that's a mistake. It's very situational when that's going to be good, and I would say just don't do it for now. Like it's never going to really turn out well for you. And then the other thing about it is, when it's a 13-12 ling bane all in, never ever pull your drones, and you didn't pull your drones this game, so that was good. Don't ever like pull your drones out of your natural and be like, let's defend.
Yeah, I've definitely been bitten by that.
Yeah.
Can you actually say the timings for the Zerglings?
Exactly. That's what we're talking about
I'm
now.
not entirely sure of them.
Yeah, it's just knowing that if it's a 12 pull, you should definitely pull your drones. If it's a 13-12, you should definitely not pull your drones. And then no matter whatever you do, always defend your hatchery. Don't try to push forward. Now, the way to tell if it's a 13-12 or a 12 pull, lings running down my ramp at my natural around 140, like 135 to 140, like your overlord spots them right around 140, okay? This is 100% a 13-12. My lings, if this was a 12 pull, should be about a full screen length further ahead than they are right now. They should be in the, whatever map it is, they should be towards the middle of the map around this time. Like, you should be seeing lings around 140 in the middle of the map somewhere. Like literally in the middle. So they should be, like, approaching the ramp to go up into my territory, essentially, where my overlord is. But if it's a 13-12, the pool does go down a little bit later. Not much, but just a little bit later. And, and the reason why is because you have a 75 mineral expense that delays your pool. Because a 13-12 is literally, you make a drone, you make then a gas, and then you make the pool. Whereas a 12 pool is you just save for the pool. So the lings are about 10 seconds delayed. Or more like 7 seconds delayed or so. Around 7 to 10 seconds. It's a little bit more delayed. So the lings just aren't as far across the map. So if you see lings coming out of my base with your first overlord like this, and you're like, oh look, it's 6 lings. All 6 of his lings just popped out of his base right now at, you know, 13. You know, this time this is definitely a 13-12 because we're talking 140, and this is not middle of the map. This is his side of the map, just in front of his natural. That's how you can tell. Now, if a Zerg is super cheeky and sneaky, and they run around the map in general, if they literally like run across the south side, and all you see with your overlord by the time you get to the natural is you see 2 lings at a time popping out, the way you can tell it's a 12 pool or a 13-12 is if there is a natural or if there is not a natural. If there is no natural by the time, so like that's a double confirmation essentially, because you got to think about it like this: if the Zerg player who's going 13-12 is super sneaky and he doesn't want you to know if he's 13-12ing you or not, but he's trying to be like he's just trying to make it mysterious. If he runs around the map, your overlord will get to the natural before his lings will get to your natural, because the 13-12 is already delayed as it is. And if you see no fucking natural from the Zerg, no matter what, do not pull your drones. The response,
then obviously he has gas.
Exactly. Yep. Because the response you made, where you made a baneling nest and you also made a spine crawler, was correct. That was perfect. That was actually hard to break that, because there was a chance you could have held that, and so that's how you can tell the difference. Now we'll speed it up and we'll go to your build again here, and I'll say this. So yeah, you also made the correct amount of larvae for the lings. You have 8 larvae. Or sorry, you have 8 lings ready to go with 4 larvae. That's nice. 2 queens should both start immediately at the same time. And what your lings should do is they should poke and back up on my lings just to get me off the hatchery. And also, as soon as your queen spawns, that queen should immediately run to the ramp, so that you can actually have queen number 1 and queen number 2 combine on the ramp. So, and now we'll back it up too to this point right here. Actually, look at the pool really fast. I want to see your pool really quickly. Okay, your pool was not delayed building wise, but were your cleans delayed a little bit by when the pool was done? Let's just see. Like, this kind of shit's super important.
Yeah, I think they were.
Yeah. So like 201 pool finishes and 205 queen start, so it was just 4 seconds of time of difference of queen starting. Like, stuff like this is critical in all in game. And now we're gonna pause it here, and your queen is right now. It would be spawning right now if the queen was 4 seconds faster. So it would help at dealing with this bullshit. But she wouldn't
get trapped. She wouldn't get trapped there if she was already out.
Exactly. And what you'd want to do right now, it's kind of hard to do it, but what you'd need to do is you would need a green box, like the majority of your lings. Maybe like, you see how there's like 2 lings for you in the front, kind of the rest, that are closer to my banes? Like, if you let those 2 lings charge the banes and the rest of the lings kind of ran towards the ramp, that'd be great. And then, or like ran up into where the mineral line was, that'd be great. And then you would grab that queen the second it spawns and send it to the ramp, and you would also, right now, make more lings again. Because if this is not a 12 pool, this is a 13-12, this is fully fucking committed. And all it takes is 1 bad bane hit and you could lose the game. So keep making lings as well. Because like, if you take 1 bane hit, that's like a little bit too good for the baneling guy. And now you only have like 4 lings to the baneling guy having 8 lings. Like, those lings now could potentially overpower your lings really fast and then kill a queen. And you do not want that shit to happen. But yet, if you have lings constantly just popping out of the hatchery, even if you take a hit where like maybe 5 of your lings died to 1 bane, and now it's like a 3 or 4 of your lings versus 8 of mine or some shit, you still have a chance to be like, okay, well, here comes 2 more, here comes 2 more again, and 2 more again. Because you're making it out of double hatchery versus my single hatchery. So if you just keep the production going for up until you stabilize in the start of the game, when your queens have stabilized, then you can kind of chill out on it and go back to droning and making banes. And because now you also then would have a spine, so you have a lot more stable defense. But for this point, definitely need to make more lings, and you've kind of stopped. You could have another 8 lings coming already, which would be fucking huge, because I only have 8 lings in total across the map right now, aside from the banes. So that'd be a really nice way to handle those. And then, yeah, just seriously, like right here, your queen needs to run immediately. And those banes just obviously dying sucked pretty bad for you. But now if this ever happens and your queen gets stuck, this is rough because what just happened there is I just punched a hole in your ramp, and now you can't block it until you make another queen. Also, constant queen production is priority. So making lings up until you have queen control in the ramp is a priority then. But once your queens have control of ramp, it goes to queen priority and making drones. And then you just take from your ling pool that you already have and you just turn them into banes slowly. You try to avoid using your lings as much as possible, and you just use queen bane spine. And it's super easy, and you'll have a good drone count, and then you can make a roach warren or a layer or whatever you want to do to, you know, move on to the next step of the game.
Yeah.
So that's the idea. So I mean, you did a decent job though.
I think usually if there's a game like this and I survive, I will probably like build 2 base roach kind of after.
Yeah, that's perfect. I think that's a great
GM game.
Yeah, great response. You just like wall off the front with the Evo Chamber Roach Warren, and then you have a 3rd queen in the doorway. Yeah, I get it. That's great. Fucking good response. That's a super good response. That's probably the safest response you could possibly have. That's powerful. But yeah. So, I mean, at this point, you know, it's just trying to. It just becomes a micro at this point. And then if the more queens you make, which you did make queens, so I mean you have the right idea. Okay, so how do you feel? Do you want me to give you an example now, or would you like to jump into ZVT? How you feeling?
I think we can probably go to ZVT.
Okay.
Just to repeat, let's see. You said. So in the beginning, constantly make lings until there's like enough queens around to block the ramp.
Just 2 queens.
Go to queens and drones.
Yeah, you just want to make lings until your queens are actually together on the ramp, and then once that happens, the only trigger that would say, "Oh shit, I need more lings now," would be if while your queens were on the ramp, still before you had Bane nest up. So let's just say all those lings popped out, and then something happened where maybe you mismicroed, and you're like, "Oh god, I just lost 9 or 10 Zerglings in my natural to 1 Bane. That sucks." Okay, I might need to make more lings now, because your Bane and your spines are still not activated yet, and then that would be a trigger to make more. But if you don't take a big mistake like that, where you just get slammed by you know, 1 Bane, you could make your initial like 12 lings that you're gonna make or so, or like maybe like 14, somewhere around like 12, 14, 16 lings from the, like to start while your queens are spawning. You could take those lings and just dip from them into like the banelings. You could be like, oh, I'll take 2 of those lings, make 2 banes. I'll take 1 more ling, make 1 more bane, and you just leave those lings either in front of your natural, but you like spread them out, but still try to leave them in like within queen range, or you just leave them literally behind your fucking queens on your main base, and like where it's just safe and they can just stay clumped up, and you just always take banelings outside of your queens, like in front of your queens in your natural, and you just like take your spine, your queens, put them in the natural, and have them run around, have the banes run around every time the lings come in, and whenever he tries to flood you, the banes blow everything up. That'd be a super easy way to do it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just have to account for the fact that you could fuck up micro, so you need to keep the ling flow coming constantly until your queens have actually controlled the ramp. Because like what just happened there, where your queen got surrounded and died, you now no longer have control of the ramp, and this is now super scary. Which is why all your drones get fucked now. If you had more lings here, this would be much harder for me to do this. Because in this one attack, how many drones actually die? Yeah, that was 8 drone kills right there. And now that put you down to 9 drones versus 13. And that's how you lose to shit like 13, 12. Because if you actually just kept making lings the whole time and they weren't made until later, because there's a chance you might fuck it up, you would have had more lings in the process where I was, because like the banes would still have to be microed, like you still have to like run away from the banes, and the better your micro is, that's awesome, but you would have more of your lings killing my lings off of your queen, and if you have so much lings, you could actually force my banes to turn around away from the drones and go back to try to kill your lings off of my lings while I kill your queen. And if you micro your lings too then, and let's say you take a pretty decent like mitigated detonation where you like kill a couple of my banes with like low losses for yourself, well then I'm just fucked. It's over, and my baneling rush is over, because you will easily overwhelm me if you don't lose your drones. and forcing me to have so much lings in my face while your ramp is trying to be secured is so fucking hard to deal with for the Baneling guy. But yeah, up to this point, like strategy-wise though, like the fact that you're going Bane Nest, the fact that you made Banes, the fact that you keep making Queens, the fact that you made a Spine Crawler, these are all good things. You have the right idea, honestly. So it just takes practice, obviously, and just understanding, like, don't stop the ling count, and try to never inject your hatcheries for the first couple Queens, and try to really get that ramp blocked with the ability to transfuse pretty early. And yeah, that's really it. And then the other thing you said, where you were talking about like mid-game Banes, that one's much more simple. All it is but it takes a lot more effort from you, honestly, in terms of like remembering to do something. All it really is remember to scout about every 30 seconds with a Zergling at the start of the game. And when I say scout, I mean literally run into their base with a Zergling and look at their mineral line. Always look for the mineral line of drones. And you go, okay, well, my natural has 12 drones on it. Your natural has 2. All right, I'm fucking getting all in now. So maybe I need to make some Banes. Maybe I need to make a few more Lings. And maybe I need to start like a Roach Warren. It's always good to start a Roach Warren as well if you know you're getting all in. It's a very good idea to do that. Because it'll, if you have Ling Bane early on as like a standard opener, and you're trying to take like a third base, for instance, but then you add in a Roach Warren because your opponent has no drones, that Roach Warren will deal with all-in Roach phases or all-in Bane phases from Zerg when they have like no economy. It's just that one push. Your defensive Roaches will fucking be so amazing. Another way, if you understand, if you go, oh, okay, it's an all-in, immediately, if you haven't done it yet, immediately resaturate your gas back to 3. If you make that Roach Warren, also go right back to 3 on gas. Yeah. So you can just actually make the Roaches when your Roach Warren's done. And in the meantime, you just make Ling Bane. And then, again, scout always. Like, you have your Overlord spotting for the 3rd, but, like, you'll be scouting again. If he doesn't attack you, scout him again 30 seconds later. And if this dude does not have any drones still, or, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you just keep getting reads on what he's doing, and you're like, okay, well, you still only have, like, 2 drones on that natural, and I still have 12, and your queens killed my Zergling again, or your 1 queen and, like, 2 lings in front of your base killed my Zergling. Like, it's try to get into his main base as much as possible and see what the fuck's going on, because there's some weird stockpile going on that you need to know about. But it's really just scouting and just understanding. It's always about, there's 2 things you should look at. There's 2 priorities, and they go like this. Number 1 is mineral line. How many drones do you have to how many drones do they have if you're macroing? Because there's going to be a big disparity there. And then the second thing that's important, but not as important as the mineral line, but it still is important, is the larva. If you look at the guy's base and you have like 2 larvae, and because you're spending all of it, like you've been cranking drones like crazy, you made a few lings to be stable, but you're spending your larva, and you look at your opponent's base and he's got like 6 larvae sitting on the natural. That shit is once again gonna probably be an all-in, and I'll tell you right now, a big indicator that someone's going to do a certain type of all-in is based on the larva. So here's how you read this. If you ever scout somebody early game that has no larva and no drones, that is probably going to be either a Evo chamber upgraded Zergling all-in, or it is probably going to be a Baneling nest with Zergling all-in. Ling Bane, or just pure Ling with upgrades. However, if you scout someone who has a lot of larvae saved up, like 4, 5, 6 just on the natural and no drones, like very low drone count, that is probably going to be a Roach all-in, because you're not going to be able to afford mass lings with Roaches. Instead, how it goes is you start with Roaches and then you flood lings behind it. So you can see what they're doing based off of what larva they have as well. It kind of tells you an idea about what the fuck you're going to expect.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Never thought of that. Cool.
Yeah, and then it's just reading, like, for the mid game stuff. If you're going for a 3rd and you're like at 30 supply or like 25 whatever supply, you're just constantly like trying to progress. You really, really, really have to scout, like actively, if you want to make sure you're not going to die to some weird like, oh, he's all-inning me now and I didn't realize that, kind of a thing, because it really comes down to drone count, like their investment from the start. All right. So, any questions, or how you feeling about ZVZ stuff?
No, that was two good nuggets of information. I'm gonna work on, I guess.
Okay.
Cool. Great.
All right. So let's jump out of this, and then let's jump into a Terran game, and we'll talk about scouting in Terran.
So,
And I know this lesson probably is going to feel overwhelming as we go through it, and you're going to probably forget a lot of shit we talk about because it's going to be so much shit just constantly coming at you. But this one, I would say, definitely go back and watch that VOD, dude. So you have access to it, like rehearing it repeatedly.
this one, I can't remember what went on in it.
Okay. Make me the lobby host, and we'll start it up, dude. All right, so I'm not gonna focus too much on your build. I might just touch on it for just a sec, but I'll focus mostly on your scouting this game, so you can actually read the game properly, just to make sure you're doing that. All right. Okay, so Overlord placement, I'm loving it already. Good shit. Hatchery timing, loving it. Overall build, loving it, dude. Loving every second of it. Damn. You even have every close patch stacked. This is super, super sick. Alright, so now let's talk about your scouting. Your build is great, by the way. It's perfect. Your opening up to this point has been, I just saw all the shit you just did. It's been perfect, so keep it up. Keep doing this shit. It's really good. You stack close patches. You got the perfect drone going to your third. You saturated your gas with new drones coming out of the hatchery. Properly timed hatchery gas pool. Everything's perfect about your build up to this point. But now if we look at your scouting, we see a Rax, we see a command center, we see a double depot. This is as standard as possible. The only thing I would say is weird is that SCV in front of the natural that's sitting there. And the only reason why I say that's weird is because that makes me think that this dude is going to build a bunker with where that's located. It's not actually. This SCV, and these are things that... So we're gonna get really in depth here for a second.
I'm remembering now. I think you're entirely right. There's going to be a bunker in.
Yeah, and this is what I think is gonna happen. If I was looking at this game and I was gonna really break this down logically, I would say this. Okay, I showed up at a guy's base, and he's got a fucking barracks, double depot, command center. The second depot is fine. I'm not gonna say it's bad because he's doing a command center build. He's going macro, whatever. It's fine. He's not, I would say he is not necessarily rushing the gas. Like, I don't think this build was gas before barracks, because if it was, it would fucking be weird if he went double depot and a command center like this, because it would be super expensive on the economy. He'd probably have to cut SCVs here and there to do that or some shit. It'd be super, you couldn't afford all of that. So this seems like a very standardly based gas, with the, you know, the build is like depot, racks, gas at the same time, and then the command center. So it's, and then a second depot after. So super standard build, but here's what I think when I see this. The two key units, the bigger one is the SCV that's sitting there weirdly, but the fact that he made a Marine first, it looks like he made a Marine first, because the Marine was already shooting you before you even got to the command center to see it.
Yeah, it was like waiting for me there.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a fucking fast Marine, which means he probably skipped a Reaper for this, or he had to have skipped a Reaper for this. The second thing is he looks like he's going to build a bunker, because if that SCV was closer to the wall, that would be more intelligent for like depot location. This is definitely not going to be a depot right there. And if he's sitting right there, he probably means he has the inclination to build a bunker. So here's what I would read from this. If I were you, I would go, okay, so this dude looks like he's going to go for a barracks command center opener. If he builds a bunker, which it looks like he's going to, he's probably going to follow this up with a factory. And he's probably going to get a factory faster than normal because he skipped a Reaper. And a Reaper is literally half the cost of a factory in terms of gas. So this is going to be a faster factory than normal, but in bunker defense. So this dude might make like 2 Marines or maybe 3 Marines and put them in a bunker, and he might go fast factory. And this kind of a build, I'm going to tell you right now, anyone who makes a fucking bunker this fast, this kind of shit, I would say is like 70-30 or maybe even like 80-20 split of people who like to go actually stay on the factory tech for a while, or they like to go straight fucking starport. And then like the higher number is starport, okay? So like it's like 80-20 split where it's like 80 for starport, 20 for like, no, I'm going to stay on factory for a while. Like it could be, they could stay factory, but this is like a big sign of someone who says, I'm going to rush battle cruisers, or I'm going to rush a cloaked banshee.
Oh,
like that's very, 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 very common that they're going to go for, they're going to go for a fast BC. By the way, Shawnee, thank you for that very much for the sub, dude. Sorry I skipped it. The bot, it takes too long to speak, and we're doing coaching this right now. But don't worry, man. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for the coaching, or for the sub, man. Much love. But yeah. So I would just already assume from this, okay, probably fast starport's coming out of this guy, and he's probably got a factory starting right now because there is no Reaper, and you know, it's just what it feels like it's gonna happen. So I think you putting your Overlord where you did is great. We already see 2 Marines now. So, you know, and he's also flying to the fucking cliff. So we can clearly guaranteed tell there is definitely no Reaper. Like even if there was a subtle like thought in your head where you went, maybe he got a Reaper out in time and then made a Marine. Like I'm not 100% sure because it's just 1 Marine. Now that we see 2 right away, definitely can tell there's no Reaper. And the fact that he now is floating the fucking barracks and making a bunker is 100% confirming that this dude is building a factory. So we already know what's going on, and I would say the perfect way to respond to this, because you know your Overlord is about to die, I would honestly say just move your Overlord. If this ever happens to you in the future, immediately move into his main base. It's gonna die either way, and if you're gonna die, you might as well confirm.
Get as much info as it can.
Yeah, just try to confirm the factory because you know he's gonna build it, and the good thing too is if he does build a factory, let's just say he does build a factory and like he actually gets a gas relatively early, you spot it, well that'd be great. That'd be fucking awesome. Because there is one other thing this build could be. There is one other thing, which is I would say a lot less common, but it could be that this guy could go for no gas and a 3rd command center super fast, and then as soon as he makes the 3rd command center, just explode his gas. He could do that too, but that is, I would say if he did that, and let's just say hypothetically, let's say you move your Overlord in, okay? You move your Overlord in, and you want to go confirm what he's doing, and let's say you see a factory, play standard, play defensive, it's fine. If you see a 3rd command center, like let's say it's like just to the right of where the depot in the main is, the top depot, and you see a 3rd command center a little bit over there, like up above the depot or some shit, and then your Overlord dies, you could literally, if you wanted to, resaturate your gas with 2 drones, go back to 3, and you could immediately start a Roach Warren or a Bane Nest, and you could just go for an all-in, and you could kill him. Guaranteed. There would be no fucking way that this Terran could ever stop a Ling Bane all-in, or a Ravager Ling all-in, or like a Roach Ling all-in, with just gasless. Because by the time he actually makes like a factory, and like starts making like a tank, he'd be like starting to make a tank, and suddenly Ravagers are already busting his wall down, or Banelings just blew up his doorway, and then he's fucking dead. Like you could do that if there was a 3rd CC. So moving this Overlord to the right is super important because it probably is going to mean it probably means it's going to be a factory, but it could be a 3rd command center. That's much more rare though. That's how I would read this and how I would assume this would be. Okay, so now what I would say you need to do is definitely when you another thing I would say you should start doing if you don't do yet, this will help you a lot. I like that you leave your 2nd Overlord at your natural a lot early game. I love it, but you should start making it a habit if you can to just memorize this. That you go every single time I make my 3rd Overlord, I'm going to now grab my 2nd Overlord and send it to his natural. Okay? You can either do it with when the hatchery's done at your natural, or you can do it with when you make the 3rd Overlord. They're both around the same exact time.
Yeah.
So, or go ahead.
Yeah, I fail to do that a lot, but I think that the idea is to fly it out when the hatchery pops or wins almost.
Yeah, exactly. You really want to have a backup scout, because right now if you had a backup scout, You could actually have your Overlord like right. It wouldn't be all the way to his base right now, but it would be probably like 25% of the way already across the map for you, or maybe like 30% of the way across the map. It would probably be like at those like bushes covering the rocks, essentially, or like somewhere around there, where like you see like above your third. So if you were like already like maybe a third of the way across the map ish, you would already be, you know, that's we're talking like 15 to 20 seconds in travel time already, like probably 20 seconds already going to his base. So you'd be able to get into his base by probably like 3:40 or like 3:30, and you could see what was going on the edges of his base without having to actually sack the Overlord yet. And you might see, again, like a third command center. You might see the factory thing we're talking about. You might see something else. So that'd be great. And then if this guy builds a bunker like this, okay? If he builds a bunker, you want to know a really, really cool trick that you can do to discover. This is super, super, super advanced, but this is something you can do that's very interesting. If you ran a Zergling across the map right now, okay? If you ran a Ling across the map right now, and you periodically did this, you could poke in range of the bunker just for a second, and then poke out of range of the bunker. And if you do the math, you can calculate how many Marines he has in a bunker, and this will tell you, is this dude making an add-on on the barracks, or is this dude just pumping Marines in the barracks? And this tells you if he's going to go Hellions or if he's not going to go Hellions. And here's why this makes sense. If the bunker leaves just 12 damage inside the bunker, because each Marine does 6 damage, and that's, you know, what it does, the bunker will shoot all shots at once on a target. Like, the bunker just adds in every Marine inside of it, and they all go, like, each Marine shot of the bunker is like all the same thing. It just means it's like a 4 times Marine shooting something, essentially. So if your Lings are taking 12, it means he only made 2 Marines in that bunker, which means he's probably going to make a reactor, and it means he's probably going to make Hellions. So that's what it probably means. Now, if he goes into, if there's 4 fucking Marines shooting your Zergling, when you pop in and out of the bunker, your Ling won't die. You don't just run into the bunker and die with it. The point is you run in just to get shot once and you back up, and you look at how much damage you took. And then if you know, whatever the number is, if it's more than 2, because you already saw 2, if it's more than 2, it means he's probably going to make a tech lab or a starport really fast. So it means he's probably either going to make a tank, because he doesn't give a shit about making a reactor, because he's going to instead make a tech lab super quickly, or because the reactor is much longer build time, or it means he's going to make a factory and then immediately make a starport right after. Again, these are commonalities of what usually happens. That's what you should kind of be expecting with looking at things like this. And then also, if you somehow see a unit around the bunker, if you just spot, like, you go, oh, look, more things over there that I can see now because my Zergling actually saw them for a second. Well, that's also good too, because you see more shit at the door.
Yeah, usually if they're stocking up Marines or Hellbats or Hellions, they're often like standing there.
Exactly. So now you're scouting for the third, and you run at the natural. And this is that moment where I would say I think your Ling's gonna run in and die, but this is that moment where you
totally gonna die.
Yeah, you definitely should not run in and die, because I mean, if it dies, you're not. If you did die and you saw something, that'd be nice, but you're not gonna really be able to see a whole lot if you just die. Whereas the bunker itself tells you so much information if you just look at what's inside of it. And you got to also realize the fact that he's building a bunker guarantees he's either rushing a factory and rushing tech, or he's super gasless. So one of those 2 things is happening. This is definitely non-standard. And also, here's the other thing too. The reason why he's making a bunker, you have to really think about this. The reason why this dude is making a bunker is because he is not scouting you at all. So he doesn't know what you're doing. And if he doesn't make a bunker and he doesn't know what you're doing, and he has no idea what's going to happen, it means that he totally could die if you decided to all in, just because you're a Zerg player who starts up his EVT and goes, you know what I'm going to do this game? I'm fucking all-inning. That's just my game plan.
Coachling all in.
Yeah, if that was your game plan every game, you would automatically beat this guy if he doesn't make a bunker. And he's like teching really hard or playing super gasless. So the bunker helps him maybe not to die. It increases his chances to survive some weird pressure stuff.
Oh yeah, that's funny. I didn't even think of the fact that obviously no Reaper means he has no idea what's going on.
Yeah, he's fucking clueless right now. He is super clueless. So for him, again, like it's gonna be something like it has to be one or the other, because it's not standard, because there's no scout here. So if there's no scout, also there's no drone pressure, which means you are a full power Zerg with whatever the fuck you want to do. So again, it has to either be, you really have to just think about it in the sense that it has to either be very, very delayed gas, or gas that's going to just tech super fast. And both of those are vulnerable because he's not making anything that can control the mid game, or like the middle of the map, essentially. He's not making Hellions right this second. He's not making Reapers right this second. And then having your Overlord in his base like now would be great, because you could actually see if your Overlord was in his base right now.
4-minute scout is nice.
Yeah, like you could poke in, and you know what? You want to know the crazy thing you would see? You would see, here's two things. This would be a great way to scout exactly what's going on. And I'll tell you how I would respond to it. Because I'm not looking at his whole base right now, and I know I saw it earlier, but if you scouted into his base with the Overlord, and I'm not gonna say you have to sack it either. Let's just say you started scouting it, and he started shooting you on the edge of his cliff with like 3 Marines, and like suddenly 2 more are coming over here, and you go, oh shit, back that up right away. This is a lot of Marines. And at the same exact time, when you back up that Overlord, you take a Zergling and you poke the bunker again, just to see how many Marines are inside of it. Is it empty? Or does that shit still have Marines inside of it? And you poke it and you back up and you go, oh, yeah, nope, I just took 12 damage. There's still 2 Marines inside that bunker. So you go, well, he's shooting my Overlord with 5, and now he's got 2 Marines as well in the bunker. This dude is fucking, he made multiple barracks, if that's the case, for sure. And he is going for a, like, this 100% confirms that it's gasless with multi-racks. And what I would, this is not that scary to deal with. What I would say the easiest way to deal with this would be, is just spread your creep and get a bane nest. Like, start a bane nest before you start a layer, essentially. If you ever, so here's another thing too. If you ever see someone going for something that looks really aggressive, like a Hellbat all in, or like a Hellbat timing, or what this fucking build is, which is 3 racks randomness, you can by all means start your Roach Warren or your Bane Nest before you start a layer, because Bane speed is not actually going to be that important right now. You'll never have Bane speed in time to deal with the timing. The only time Bane speed is a good idea to go for first is when it's a 3rd command center build early with a tank based opener. Like it's like, or like, it doesn't have to be tank based, but it's good against tanks. It's just when they have a 3rd command center and then they're going to ramp up their production. That's when you want to go for Bane speed, because those are the kinds of Terrans that are going to go for timing attacks that are like around 7 minutes or like 6 minutes. And they're going to try and set up on you. That's going to be really hard to stop. But if you have Bane speed and creep spread, suddenly it's so much more realistic for you to win against that. But against Terrans who do not go for a 3rd command center and instead ramp up production hardcore, you don't have time to get Bane speed. And if they pressure you and you don't have any Banes or Roaches and you just have nothing but Zerglings and that's it, there's a higher chance you're going to die there. So making the unit building that's going to make you advance units is more important than the layer, and then you could take the layer later. Like, you could still make the layer, just don't prioritize the layer. And then, you know what I mean? And then, you know, if you scout what looks like an all-in, you could just add, you could even add in like another gas faster to like supplement like a little bit of extra gas in case you get hit by a timing, as a reaction to seeing someone who's about to be really aggressive. But the one problem for you now, right now is your 2nd Overlord is a little bit late, so you're not knowing what's going on yet, and your what's it called? You haven't really confirmed count of bunker units yet, so you don't know how many are in there, which, to be fair, you would have only seen 2 anyways, so that wouldn't have told you a whole lot. This game would have really been based off the 2nd Overlord, really heavily, as to knowing what the fuck is going on, if it was, or like closer to his base. And then just keep in mind too, against Terran, especially when you're confused and it doesn't seem super standard, like there's not just like the standard Hellion Reaper shit going on, you really need to start something early. So like if you went for a layer first, you would need to make that Bane Nest immediately when you have 50 gas for you to feel not unsafe. Like you would need that Bane Nest super quick, or you need to make a Roach Warren like right after you make a layer. One or the other.
Another poor Zergling meeting a grim fate.
Yeah, it's all good. Your creep spread's not bad though. Your creep spread's definitely decent. The better your creep spread is as well, the better chance you have at defending all ins. And now you can see there's still no add-on on this barracks at all. This looks like, again, it's just double confirming once again that this dude is either opened up with a gasless build or a super fast tech build. And I would say chances of him, until you confirm what it is, chances of him going for like a starport would be very high right now. That's how you should honestly be reading this. Until you see those Marines. Starport is super high chance because this dude, if he didn't make an add-on off the barracks, it means that there's no, again, no Hellion production because there's no reactor that was made here. So if he's not going to make a reactor off the barracks, it means that if he just made a factory and then made a reactor off the factory, that would be some awful Hellion harassment because it would be super delayed. So if he's going to go straight starport and he's going to just make an add-on off the factory for the starport, like he'll make the factory, then start the starport, and while he's making the starport, make a tech lab on the factory and then swap those over. That's totally doable. So it seems like fast starports so far. And then your Overlord is kind of poking, and now you see Marines constantly pumping out. And you also see a tech lab on a barracks that is being upgraded. This is definitely going to be a lot of Marines here. And the perfect way to respond to this right now would be fucking make Zerglings right now. Make a Bane nest immediately. And imagine if you made one first. You'd already have it done. And you can make Banes now instead. But, again, that would have come down to your Overlord being a little bit closer to his base. So that's why you don't have that information right now. But making Lings right now. And the reason why I would say make Lings is because you have to realize if you don't make Lings and this guy pulls all his SCVs, you could die. You could totally die because you don't have Roaches and you don't have Banes. So I mean, you do have a Bane nest started though. So it's almost done. The next thing I would say is a response to this immediately. There's one thing you should do right now. You should take one Ling and put it on the left side of the middle of the map, and you should take one Ling and put it on the right side of the middle of the map. And the reason why I say this is because there's two attack paths he can come from, realistically, because you don't know if he's going to attack your third first, or if he's going to attack your natural first. And that's going to change where his Marines are going to go. And what you should do as a further thing, the next step of that, is that's going to tell you if he's moving out already. And if he is moving out already, maybe grab all your queens and your drones from your third base and reconverge them to your natural because you're about to get all in. And if you defend this attack, you win the game. So you have choices now where you go, is my Bane nest close enough? Do I want to make Banes like back in my main base and just wait on it? Do I want to, not do that? Do I feel like I need to do that? Is he close enough to my base to warrant this as a move I need to make? So like basically your creep spread is amazing right now. I love it. You have very good vision far away from your base to give you an indicator that you're getting attacked by a Marine all in. If it happens, your creep is great, but it's just getting a read onto like how far across the map he is, because the fact that he's not killing your Overlord and he's just gone, yeah, go ahead and fucking see everything I'm doing. I don't care. You can go ahead and see it all. I don't mind. Like this tells you that he's not at base anymore. Like that Overlord should have died a lot faster if he was still defensive. So now he is.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Huh? Go ahead.
No, it's kind of like that feeling when you like run in a Zergling scout and no one's killing it.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, what's going on now?
Now.
Yeah, right. So yeah, it's definitely one of those moments where I would highly recommend you get a Ling on both sides of his attack path, based on if he goes to your third or natural. You just run down that line on both sides to go, where are you? Like, where is your army located? So that you can make a realistic judgment call as to where you want to set up your situation. And again, making queens is super good right now. I would highly recommend you make another queen in every hatchery. Like, honestly, just make 3 more queens. Make like a couple Overlords, make 3 more queens. Grab every queen you have and get ready to defend it all in. Like, get all 5 queens together. Or all 4, rather. You are about to have a 5th one. But get all, so you would have 5. Get all 5 queens, like, converge together. Get ready to defend some bullshit. And if this guy pulls SCVs, which he clearly hasn't yet, so you're fine. But if you scouted this and there were no SCVs here, or if you saw there were no SCVs, if you saw your Lings go, oh, SCVs are with his army, and he's got like 20 of them or 30 of them, and they're running to my base with Marine SCV, I would 100% tell you, get your fucking drones ready to go. Like this attack, if this attack gets defended, you win the game. So get your drones at your natural, leave them there. Take your drones from your third base, send them to your natural. Get your drones from your main base, get them maybe also, bring them to your natural. Because if you see he's like about to attack your base in the next like 8 seconds or so, and all you want to do is get every drone you have to add it into the fight, what you could do is you could be like queens and lings, control group 1, drones, control group 2. And you could just go like wait for him to really get close in your creep, like wait until the very last second to maximize as many lings as possible. If he was like here now before your banes were ready, because if your banes are not ready and he pulls SCVs, that's fucking scary. But if you actually pulled all your drones and put them together in the same mineral line, had your queens and lings in the same group, and you waited until he like got into this choke point in front of your natural and like was ready to now start attacking you, you could mineral walk to his natural with your drone, all of your drones. And you could then A-move him with your lings and queens. And as soon as your drones went through his army and like got like a flank with your drones essentially, you could A-move your drones and now fully surround and get on like, because your lings would probably be caught up on the SCVs, right? But your drones could get all over those fucking Marines, and it would make your drones now start dying instead of your lings to start die. Or like your lings would stop dying because they would only be fighting SCVs, which aren't going to do shit. And you'd kill all the SCVs while he'd probably kill a lot of your drones. But you would overpower him at that point, because in general, if your opponent is going to spend time walking across, not only does he have to do travel time walking across the map, he's also not mining anything else during that time. And that time it takes him to cross the entire map is time that allows you to have defender's advantage of just building shit constantly. And if you did that kind of a defense, if you didn't have banes, you would very likely kill it. If that makes sense. If it was that.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I think like I almost never see like SCV pulls sort of this late, but I mean I've understood from watching better players play that it is a thing.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, if this dude doesn't have a factory by 5 minutes or a third command center by 5 minutes, and he is just going to attack you with Marines, his position in the game, if that gets encountered by banes, is he's already lost the game anyways. Like, he's fucking dead if he doesn't pull SCVs and he just walks over to your base and like 3 banes or like 5 banes and 30 lings surround him and blow up all of his Marines. The game is just over. And if he doesn't attack you at all and he just sits there defensively making a bunch of Marines, the game also should be over. And the reason why is because all you have to do to defend this is make like literally like 5, 6 banes, whatever. Just make some banes. And then scout across the map. And if you see he's not across the map, and then you're like, oh, you got like 25 Marines by your bunker, and you're still making more, I would be like, well, if you already have like, let's say you have like 30 lings and like 6 banes, and he's still sitting at his bunker, just have a ling in the area where you can see when he moves out, so you're not blind. Don't be blind. You definitely want to know when he moves out, but you know he's not moving out yet. Make another fucking round of drones. And then if he moves out, immediately start making lings again. Like, you could just get away with a bigger and bigger lead, and you could take a macro hatch, and, you know, like, you could just, like, overwhelm him, because if he's going to sit there just making Marines for an all-in, he's 100% dead. If you can get to a point where you have, like, let's say, like, 60 drones or so, and he's got, like, 35 SCVs, and you're just cranking out lings nonstop then with, like, bane speed, he's absolutely not going to, and he'll never win at that point. But you have to fucking scout with lings to know that this is okay, because if you don't, and you just fucking let the map be super blind, and you're like, oh, I'll just make drones. I don't know, fuck it. We'll make drones now, and you're blind to shit. And then out of nowhere, he walks over creep at your third base. Like, let's say he like came all the way on the very right side, and now he's walking where your queen is. Your 2 queens are on the side of your third base. Let's say he's walking up right there, with Marines up the ramp. That would be a moment where you're just like, oh, he's got like 30 Marines, and I have made nothing but drones. I had no idea he moved out. Well, that obviously you don't want to let that happen. That's why you have to fucking, when someone plays really weird like this and they're not playing standard, you have to fucking ling scout, and you have to be aware of what's going on at all times. You know, Ogre, thank you so much for the 10, dude. I appreciate you. I'll play the alert after the coaching lesson, but I'm doing a coaching lesson right now, so that's the only reason why I skipped it. But don't worry, man. I appreciate you very much. I love you. Thank you. Sorry I had to skip it though. My bad, dude. But so far, Task, do you have any questions about anything that's happened that we talked about?
No, not really. If they play weird Ling Scout is kind of what I'm.
100%. Yep.
Biggest moral I got out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
And it has to be more thorough than what you're doing. Like, you need to be in his movement paths, because right now you did scout the front door. He's not even fully walled yet. But you don't see Marines right now in front of his base, and your Overlord doesn't really see Marines in his base, and this dude's got 3 fucking racks opener. I'm still looking at... what's up?
No, and that Ling has no idea where his Marines are. Right?
Exactly, yeah.
At my base now.
Yeah, because I'm looking at your vision, and
he doesn't have a third.
Yeah, I'm looking at your vision right now. I don't actually know where his Marines are, but I would 100% assume they are in the middle of the map somewhere, and I would assume as well they are probably about to enter your vision because this Overlord's been in his base for a while. So I would not be surprised if in the next like 5 seconds Marines pop out into your creep somewhere and he's getting ready to attack you. He doesn't even have Marines in the bunker. And there you go. There's Marines at your 4th base location, and they're walking at you with combat shields and +1 weapons. So this is the kind of shit where and there's no medevac, because again, this is he chose the gasless version. So everything adds up, right? The early game told us it's either a factory rush off of 1 racks, and he floated the racks, whatever, and that's probably going to go for a starport if he's not going to make a reactor. Another thing this could be is a gasless version, which, if it's gasless, it could be multiple barracks like this, or it could be a command center. I would say the command center is the more realistic option, because what he's doing right now is very weak if you have banes. Like, if you just had like 5 banes and you surrounded him, he doesn't even have stim pack. If you just ran on creep with speedlings and surrounded his army, you would kill every Marine at such a ridiculously high cost-efficient rate. There's no medevac evacuation, and there's no stimpak stutter stepping and like splitting going on. It's just slow Marines going, shit, we're all gonna blow up. So it's not the most intimidating. And now, if I were you from here, what I would do is I would so I feel like you're having like this moment where you're kind of losing it a little bit because you're not building anything. Were you supply blocked actually? Because your Overlord died? Maybe that's, yeah, you were. Okay. So
I don't know.
you were.
Yeah.
So that is a moment where obviously that's like the worst time to supply block. This is
I'm also not morphing enough Banelings because I've just wasted a bunch of gas on Baneling speed that will never finish.
exactly. Agreed. The
Or
layer,
never finish in time.
the layer and the Bane, because you're prioritizing the layer and the Bane speed in a moment where you're getting pressured by someone who's doing a tier 1 like weird ass timing almost all in maneuver. And the reason why I say this is almost like all in is because if you crush this, because you just made Banes and Lings, which don't need to have speed by the way, you would easily kill this. Your 4th base wouldn't die, and you would actually be a 4-base Zerg versus a 2-base Terran. And you would contain him all day, and you would just overwhelm him. Well, you would max out, and he would be like at 120 supply. Because going 3 racks opener, and then doing 0 damage with it, is you've already lost the game, essentially. Like, that's such a fucking bad opener, if that's how the game goes.
The hive cluster is under attack.
Oh, making 6 Overlords, that's a sign of being a little bit frazzled.
Yeah, sure, right. But the big thing too is you'll be less frazzled if you actually read the game step by step and you expect something like this to happen. Because if you expected him to have either fast factory, or if you expected him to have very gasless based opener as well, one of the two, because of how he opened up the opener with the weird no Reaper double Marine and a bunker, you would go with the second Overlord. And imagine if you confirmed it even faster, right? Your Overlord did confirm it, but imagine if you confirmed it faster. And imagine if those Marines weren't missing when you got into his base, and instead you had all those Marines kill your Overlord, and you went, oh yeah, cool. This is not a command center opener, a 3rd command center opener. This is instead multi-barracks opener, because it's way too many fucking Marines right now. Way too many Marines. And you then could have reacted to it faster by, you would have expected it to happen like a full minute before it does. Because your Overlord could have scouted into his base at like 4 minutes. And you're getting attacked by him by like 5:30. Like realistically like 5:20.
Yeah. So like if the second Overlord like scouting timing was as it should be, I would have seen exactly what was going on. Like
Yeah, like a lot faster. And what it is, this is how scouting works for when you start really let me say it like this might make sense. But scouting for a lower level player is confusion into like, it's like everything's darkness, and then it's like having a flashlight where you just reveal one piece of information. That's what a lower level scouting player's mindset is like. It's like one little detail at a time. But a higher level player's scouting information is literally a understanding of what is capable of their opponent, and it's confirming what that capability is. So if you looked at his bunker and you looked at his double marine, you would understand there is a capability here that would make sense, which is it's either gasless or it's just skipping the Reaper into a straight factory, because it makes no fucking sense that he is not going to scout you and he's also going to build a bunker if he's going to just play standard. Like, he's not just going to make a reactor on that barracks and then just make Hellions and then also make a Reaper. Like, it's just not going to happen. Like, he's already missed the window of time to do that. So if he's going to do something, like he's going to just not scout you and make a bunker, and you go, okay, well, this is either gasless or it's just straight tech instead. One of the two is happening. But again, remember how I said this is a key moment here. It's not super fast tech, though, and the reason why is because you can't make double depot and barracks and command center and bunker and also go double gas really fast with the barracks. You could not afford all of that. So it's fucking impossible that he's going to have like a double gas, super powerful tech going on. The only reason why he could prioritize tech is because he's doing a standard build that would have been Reaper expand into a factory, but now it's Marine expand into a factory. So he still gets a faster factory because he skips the Reaper. That's the trade-off. So it's a standard, it could have been a standard as fuck build. It's just that he decided, I'm going to skip the Reaper, and I'm just going to forego all scouting and all pressure on Zerg's drones in any way, and his lings in any way. And I'm going to instead make the bunker as a trade-off, and I'm going to make a faster factory. That could totally happen. And then when you're Overlord, so you're already assuming that might be the case. And so like you know his build is either in that route, or it's in the gasless route of either a faster command center or maybe more barracks. And then when your second Overlord or your second Zerglings that poke in the bunker, that kind of shit, you're confirming what it is. You're looking for confirmations. You're not looking for what is it. You're looking for confirmations on what you think it already might be. That's how you have to be able to start reading a game. And I know that this is not something I can just say and suddenly you're going to know everything that it could be. These are things you have to learn over time. But now that you know, like, for instance, like the double marine opener, you should be thinking it is one of those two things I was talking about. The gasless or the faster factory because you skipped the Reaper. And then the confirmations of the bunker tell you so much. Like, again, just to clarify, I would have assumed, if I were you, with my Zergling, if he never made more than 2 Marines in that bunker, and I confirmed the damage inside the bunker is 12, and I backed off, and I went, yep, that's 2 Marines in there still, that probably means that this dude's making a fucking reactor. Because if this dude was making mass Marines out of that bunker, or that barrack still, chances are he's probably going to put them in the bunker. Unless he wants to stockpile them in the main and hide them, which is when, that's why you need the Overlord. He's going to confirm for you again, what the fuck is this guy doing? And if the Overlord dies to more than 2 Marines, and instead it dies to, like, there's 2 Marines in the bunker and the Overlord dies to 5 Marines, you're like, oh, this guy's got 7 Marines already. I'd be like, yeah, this dude's got multiple barracks. This is not a 3rd CC. This is not a factory. This was a gasless opener with multi-racks because this is way too many fucking Marines to make sense here. If it's just starport off of 1 barracks, that doesn't make any sense. It has to be like multi-racks at this point. And if it's multi-racks, it means he opened gasless. Because, like, why would you open up gas heavy and then go multi-racks? Because you're just making Marines which are gasless, right? So it just goes to show you that if you think he's going gasless, then, like, if that's a possibility and you confirm that he's got a shitload of Marines, even if you didn't even see these other 2 barracks, you would know he's going for heavy barracks. Because there's just too many Marines. Too much minerals going on here. And then that would be the moment where if you made Banes earlier, you would have easily shut it down, and your 4th wouldn't even have died. So it's confirming what you think it already might be, because basically the way StarCraft 2 is. This is a good mindset, a good way to explain it, I hope. I'll try to explain it in a very simple mindset. Imagine if StarCraft 2 is like when the game starts, there is a range of build that your opponent can do between 0 and 100. They could do 100 different things, or like 100% possibilities, essentially. And then when you see something, that range goes down from 100 down to like 80. You see something else, it goes down from 80 to like 50. You see something else, it goes down from 50 to like 25. And now suddenly you have a very specific section of the game that they can play. Like they're doing a style essentially, like bio, standard macro bio. They're doing bio all in. They're doing mech. They're doing fast starport battlecruiser. Like you like start to slowly shrink the range of what they have based off what you see. And for instance, just by seeing 2 Marines, a bunker, and a command center already takes the range down a lot, down to probably like 50%, because you know they're not playing standard, they're not going for standard Hellion opener, and you know they're not doing a 1 base all in as well. You know they're not proxy raxing you or some shit like that. Like you've already limited the range by so much in that regard. So does that make sense? Like that is
Yeah.
Okay. Like that's definitely like a good way to look at the game, to really just feel like you just can kind of like smell people's bullshit that they're trying to do to you. Like there's so many times in so many ways people try to meta you. Like for instance, this guy went gasless, triple racks, and then he made a fucking second depot really fast to wall you out of his main base, because he's like, I don't want you to know what I'm doing. But already I would be assuming, you know, okay, like some shit's going on here and I'm gonna figure out what it is. But you're already kind of, you're starting to like, you know, figure out what's going on along the way. So yeah, I mean, that was good focus fire by him, but even though, that shows you how weak his build is. Even though he focus fired and killed your Banes, imagine if he had like 5, he wouldn't have had enough DPS to do that, and you would have killed them all super easy. But even though he did kill your Banes, he still owned his ass. And right now, after you killed his army right there, this is what I would tell you to do. The lings you made right now is wonderful. I think the lings you have right now is great. You should make probably like 6 Banes or 8 Banes with them. Somewhere in a good healthy number of Banes, and just fucking drone.
Oh, yeah.
Just go back to droning again, and
We love you.
I love you too. Thank you very much, Deathbane, for the 9-month resub. Appreciate you, man. Thank you, thank you. Go back to droning, and go again. Leave a ling at his thirds, and leave a ling like in front of his base at this point now, and be like, "Are you gonna move out? Because if you're not, I'm gonna fully saturate my 3rd, start a 4th, and I'm going to, you know, have the base up on you, and then I'll always outproduce you." And while you're doing that, you could also make like an overseer or something and fly into his base again. And this could tell you, is there a 3rd command center? And if there is, you could saturate your 4th. Is there not a 3rd command center? If there isn't, you fucking make lings after you saturate your 3 bases. And you're saturating your 3 bases, which is correct. But you need to get a confirmation again as to, is this guy going for an all-in right now again? Or is he going to go for macro out of this? And he's got 2 medevacs flying at your base right now. So that Ling Scout, so that's also another thing you just did right there. Like your Ling Scouts are, I want you to have 1 more Ling, honestly. I would love it if your Ling at the 3rd base, it could be where it is right now, that's totally fine. Both thirds, that is. Like you're kind of covering good spots. You see that there's no CC there. That's what I care about. But if you had another ling on the ramp, because again, you're kind of blind, as if this guy were to lower his depots.
Oh yeah, like right in the middle there.
Yeah, if he A moved towards like your natural, for instance, and he just walked down that ramp on the left of his natural, and then he went straight to your base, you would not know where he is until he walks on your creep, and that just means that you can't react until like 10 seconds later. Your creep spread is great though. Very good creep spread. Considering that this guy has been annoyingly aggressive. And now he's going for a third. So you just killed his army and his medevacs for the most part. You definitely killed some units. And he's got a third base going down. I would say pressuring his third is totally fine right now. But make sure you maybe leave some stuff on defense as well. Like, don't send everything to pressure it. Maybe leave like 16 lings to defend. Because, like, the only time you really should attack this third base is if there's SCVs there. With everything. Like, and then you're gonna keep making lings behind it because you're about to kill a bunch of SCVs. But if you're gonna just poke his third because you just see, oh, command center's here, and if there's no SCVs here, setting everything across the map, all that's gonna do, and if you make drones behind it, all it's gonna do is it's gonna make him lift off his command center, and then he's gonna drop you again, and he's gonna kill some drones. So all you're gonna accomplish is making him lift off while you lose drones, which is definitely not a good trade for Zerg. So I would say the two responses you could have here is you could focus on pure droning right now and saturate your fourth because now you know he has a third and you even killed some of his units in the medevacs. You could saturate your fourth and cover it, and you could even send maybe a little bit of lings across the map to go poke his command center. Not all of them. This is not like you don't want to blow up your banes in that command center or anything like that. You're not going to kill the CC. It's very impractical. So just lift it off. And now, if he drops your main base with this medevac, this could be super annoying. Okay, so you have new units that popped out and are trying to defend, but they all died. You are now losing. He's hitting the gas, thank God. This is that. Yeah, this is that.
Just due to Terran's play that I didn't lose a bunch of drones there.
Yeah, like yeah, like there was an opportunity for him to fuck you up a little bit more than that, but
yeah,
for sure. But yeah, just I would say. You don't need to be super hyperactive about trying to pounce on that third yet, because you're not ready yet. Because you're committing to a fourth base, which I fucking love, by the way. I love that you're going for a fourth base. I love that your creep spread is really good. If you just poked his third, you could have got the same result either way with like 8 lings poking his third. You would have got the same exact result, because there's no SCVs there. There was no units there either. Like nothing was there. And then if you would have played mostly defensive, you would have guaranteed, it doesn't rely on the Terran playing poorly, but you would have guaranteed no drones would have died, and you would have also lost less lings because you wouldn't have let a little bit of lings engage and all die. Alright, and now this Terran just lost all Marines, which is even better. So now I'd be like, okay, well, let's go to that 80 drone juicy mark. You're fucking at 90 almost. Or you're 85. I thought those actually. Okay, anyways, it's good. Good shit. That's fucking awesome. Super good. The only thing I would say for you to do now would be saturate your drones properly. Make sure you like go back to your main, go to your natural, fix that shit. Like set it to your 5th base now or something. And just get ready to flood his ass. Like get your hydras ready, get your lings and banes ready, take an infestation pit to get ready to hive. Because it would allow you to go into ultras or lurkers or whatever you want to do. From this point, it would allow you to get adrenal glands. It's super effective, obviously. But pressuring his third off of the saturation of 85 drones, there's no fucking way this guy could stop that based off of how good your creep spread is, because this guy had 0 aggression in the early game up until like 5 minutes with the weird-ass Marine timing. And then also... he also threw away his aggression when he did do it with doing minimal damage. So it's giving you these crazy drone windows, which is why he has 55 SCVs and you have 85 drones. But again, I would say, last thing I would say right now, because this game has been really awkward, I would highly recommend at this point in the game, you scout his base one more time and you just try to get one like either with a Zergling or with an Overseer or something, and you try to get a read on what is his composition being supported by, and if even furthermore, even better possibly, does he have a 4th command center now, or is this dude gonna just do a 3-base power build? But I feel like that's a little less important, because the reason why that's less important, here's why. I want you to understand this. Knowing when Terran takes command centers is irrelevant once you have optimal drone count. It only matters when you're building to optimal drone count. because regardless of if you see a 4th command center or not, or a bunch of fucking barracks, you're in the phase of the game already anyways where you're going to make shitloads of ling bane hydra. It doesn't matter what you see, you're always going to make ling bane hydra. But when you're in the phase of the game, yeah, when you're in the phase of the game where you're in the developing stage, you do not want to make a fucking bunch of lings and be like, well, should have made drones. Shit, that sucks. But if you see your opponents being really, really greedy, you can match that with greed yourself and be like, well, I'll just keep the pace ahead of you with droning. So at this point, seeing the command center is irrelevant. I would just say it would make a lot of sense, though, to maybe send a changeling or a zergling at his army and go, are you going Widowmine bio? Are you going tank bio? Are you going Thor bio? Are you going Hellbat bio? Are you going just straight up Marine Marauder? Are you going, what are you doing? Like, what the fuck is this? To get better ideas about what you should do. And, you know, like so maybe like if it's Widowmine bio, don't just fucking send everything in a clump and then just lose it all to a Widowmine shot that just explodes everything. Stuff like that. But getting a little bit of a read would be nice for you. In terms of like what comp he's going for, so you have a little bit of understanding of what's going to be expected. And going into Hive seriously is super good here too, because when you're in a position like this where you have such an eco lead, Ultralisk is a super powerful tool if you use a Nidus, and here's why. And so are Lurkers. If your opponent does just never ever ever gets off of his 3-base turtle, you could always initiate every fight with a Nidus Worm. And I'm not saying you have to just put your whole army in a Nidus. What I am saying is you could either put some of your army in a Nidus, or you could put none of your army in a Nidus, but you could still make a Nidus in his base. And what that does is it makes his army spread out. Because he can't just go, oh, Nidus Worm, I'm just going to disregard that. Fuck it, I don't care. He has to kill it. It forces a reaction out of Terran, which spreads his army out to be less and clumped up to be less powerful in one spot. And if you pounce on his 3rd base while putting a Nidus in his main and making him take some of his army off to go kill it, it just increases your chances to kill the 3rd base. And all you have to do in this game now is starve him out and kill his exposed expansions, and the game's over. And Ultras are great at punching holes into doing shit like this. And if he doesn't kill a Nidus, let's say it's just open and he doesn't even have a scout there, let's say you put like 2 Ultras and like 20 Lings in the Nidus and you put them into his main base, suddenly those are going to kill a whole mineral line and like a fucking lot of buildings are going to die. So it's very impactful. It's a very powerful tool to use here. You can do the same thing with Lurkers, but these are ideas on how you can set up a fight. You know what I mean? Like you could just force reactions out of Terran. You can make them spread out a little bit.
Yeah, because I feel like that's a relatively common problem that I don't know how to attack, and I'm kind of sitting there with max population. Not
sure.
To run him into.
Yeah, for sure.
So I guess that's a good. I should try that.
And another thing too.
This is some fun.
I would highly recommend too in this game, because you're going Ling Bane Hydra, which is a good synergy for this. Now that you see he's going Mass Widow Mines, like it would have been nice, because you should be thinking to yourself always, I should be looking for what it is, not going, I have no idea. Oh, that's what it is, and now it's attacking me. You should always because again, you're going for that thing where you're limiting the range of what Terran's doing to a point where you have a specific answer, but you know for a fact this guy's gone for throughout all of it. He just medevac dropped you up until this point, like just before what you see right now. And you go, well, I know he's got a starport. I know he's got a factory. I know he's got a bunch of barracks. I know he's going bio because he has stim pack already, and he's got weapon upgrades for bio, and he's got combat shield. He's got fully upgraded bio, so he's definitely going bio. But what is he supporting it with? I am not sure. And it means the range could be Thor, tank, Hellbat, Widowmine, Liberator. There could be lots of ranges that it could be. And I would say more commonly than not, it's probably, chances are high. I would say like very high chance it's going to be Widowmine. Pretty high chance it's going to be Siege Tank. Lower chance it's going to be Thor. Super low chance it's going to be like Liberator based. And the reason why is because you showed him you are going for Ling Bane. You did not show him roaches. You did not show him some type of a roach style, like Ravagers and shit. You showed him Ling Bane, and Widow Mines are super good against Ling Bane. So you should be kind of almost expecting it's going to be Widow Mines, but confirming it is a good thing to do, because now you know for sure. Siege Tanks are also good against Ling Bane. They're better against roaches, I would say, but they're still good against Ling Bane. But so if you saw tanks, I wouldn't be surprised. But Widow Mines would be the best choice for Terran to make here because they're super effective against Ling bane. But confirming it is super good because if you confirmed it, I would say, oh, you confirmed it's not Siege Tank. You instead confirmed it is Widow Mine. This is a great time to build a Lurker Den because Lurkers are a fucking massive hard counter to Widow Mine styles. Ultralisk are good against... Ultralisk are, honestly, overall, not bad. In general, they're really good against pure bio, but they're okay against Widow Mines. They're not the greatest, but they're okay. They're okay against Siege Tanks. It really depends on how you engage. But if this was like Siege Tanks instead, let's say it was Siege Tanks, I'd be like, how about you just make mass Lings and Banes and Hydras? Just stay on Ling Bane Hydra for now and just keep breaking his tank count down. You could totally do that and just never let him take a 4th base. I mean, you could also add in Ultras eventually, but if you add in Ultras in that composition, it would be like literally adding in like 5, not like 15 or something. But like, again, this is Widow Mines, and Lurkers against Widow Mines are super effective. They'd be super good. And yeah. You gotta be really careful too. Really careful. If you ever do that. And also, here's another thing too. I mean, you have Overlord speed, which is good. But if you saw Widow Mines, you should definitely get Overlord speed if you didn't have it yet. But if you ever play against Widow Mine players, don't just run over Widow Mines and chase them to their base and then let Widow Mines stay. You need to kill them. I would say killing the Widow Mines are a bigger priority right now. Because those things are just they're gonna stack up over time. And they're gonna rip your face off. They're gonna feel really bad. Like they're getting second shots as well as you run back over them a second time.
Mineral field.
And then as well, this is so I know this is Diamond League, but I want you to know that you don't always have to have just one control group all the time. You could literally just green box a few Ling Bane. Don't grab any Hydras for this, but you could grab like maybe 20, like 1 page of Ling Bane, maybe like 6 Banes and 18 Lings or something, and you could make it into like I don't know if you ever used a steal command, but put it in like Alt 1 or like Alt 3, and you could just run it as natural with it. Like go from the left side up where your Ling is at his other 3rd base, and then go fucking attack his natural with it. Get his attention, pull him back. Move him around before you really take fights. If you fight defensively, that's totally fine. Fight defensively on creep. But if you want to fight aggressively, try to always have a multi-prong where you can pull him around. Because you don't ever want to just go, you know what? Every time I attack Terran, or just not even Terran, every time I attack in general, I'm just gonna fucking run at their whole army. That's not the best way for Zerg to take fights. You have mobility and you want to abuse it, so just take like group 2, go fucking run to his natural, call it a day. It doesn't have to even kill a lot. It just what you really want to do is you want to make him invest more supply into having to deal with that problem than what that army would have killed in supply if you just fought his whole army straight up. Because realistically, if you both have like a maxed army and you run at his army with your army, the difference that like 18 Lings and like 6 Banes are going to make is very minor in the grand scheme of things if he's got like a fucking 100 supply army just shooting at your face. Like they're just gonna die in the engagement as it goes because he's so condensed with fucking DPS there. But if you actually take that army that's little for Zerg, it's like 10 supply for Zerg realistically, it's super tiny, and you run it as natural with it, you actually, what you might do is you might make him rip off like 40 supply or like 30 supply, might come back to defend that, and suddenly that's so much more effective. That it effectively has now quote unquote killed like 30 supply of his army in the big fight you're now about to take, where now you have like 100 supply army there and he's only got like a 70 supply army there because he's too busy chasing a little tiny chunk of your army that's about to kill a bunch of his SCVs. So it creates bigger opportunity for you as Zerg and so much more value. And obviously it's not dead, it'll come back, but if that army's not there in that moment where it matters, and now your big army overruns his big army that's smaller than yours, you can now, it might be a snowball effect where you might just overrun it in a really effective way, and then now it doesn't matter that he has 30 supply somewhere else. You'll also just overrun that too, because it's so tiny compared to your big army. Also, when it comes to ling bane Hydra, I highly recommend too, if you're going to defensively engage a bunch of Widow Mines, do not fucking A-move like you just did. That's so risky. What you want to do is just green box a chunk of ling bane again, and right-click it at his bio, into the Widow Mines. Like, right-click it through his Widow Mines into the bio. And then, like, as you're going over a bunch of Widow Mines, you can try and, like, maybe green box, spread out your ling bane a little bit, so one Widow Mine doesn't just blow up everything. You want to try and set off as many Widow Mines as you can before you actually take the fight. And once you set off like 7 Widow Mines, then you fucking go. But if your turn opponent burrows like 10 Widow Mines in your face, and you just A-move it, you are like just one juicy Widow Mine shot on some Banes away from losing the game. And that will commonly happen because your Lings, if they're A-moving...
Yeah, that has
yeah,
definitely happened.
if they're A-moving and your Overseers are detecting Widow Mines, your Lings are going to continuously ball up on the fucking Widow Mines, and they're going to not insta-kill them because they're not Banes. Lings are always going to lead in front of Banes because they don't... Or the Lings are faster, so they'll lead. But Lings don't insta-kill Widow Mines like Banes do. So they're going to sit and surround the Widow Mines for a second, and it's going to buy the Widow Mines time to shoot a shot off. And if your Banes clump up into the Lings as the shots are about to go off, suddenly all your Ling Bane just fucking explodes. And you're like, oh man. That sucks, right? You're like, oh shit, dude. So definitely try to green box through the Widow Mines onto the bio so that you can set off not only his Widow Mines onto his bio, but you set off as many Widow Mines as possible, because like one Widow Mine isn't going to kill a clumped up Zerg ball. So you send it through and then you try to spread it out little by a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, a little bit forward. And you know, like if 8 Widow Mines go off, that's fucking amazing. Because now they're going to have to recharge, which means when you actually push, they're on cooldown. But again, all you got to do now is just never let him have a 4th base. If you don't let him have a 4th, and you keep spreading...
That's kind of what happened. Probably
yeah.
not very gracefully, because there's like 10 minutes left, 5 minutes left.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I mean, you're doing it, so this is the right idea. It's going to work over time, because the money for Terra is definitely getting starved out. And I would just say, if you just have the idea to go into a little bit of a more powerful tech, whether it be ultras, in this game even broods would be good. Broods, ultras, or lurker. I would say lurkers would be priority number 1. Brood lords would be priority number 2, and ultras would be priority number 3. Any one of them would be really good though, but ultra definitely, or lurker then brood then ultra would definitely be the power level that they would have in this kind of a situation where it's bio mine.
Yeah, maybe I should probably try that, because I like, that's one of the things I haven't really got. Like, I basically don't go high, I just go adrenal 3/3 ling bane Hydra.
I'll tell you right now though, like you 100% still could go into Masters and even GM with pure ling bane Hydra if you just get good at microing it well and setting up fights well. And the way that is would be what I just said literally a minute ago, where like you have a better idea about how to engage Widow Mines, or you have a better idea about how to engage a Terran's base. Like for instance, you should not have your entire army attacking his planetary right now. If we look at the entire map, look at his 4th base, and well, you can see it's actually pretty well defended, or his 3rd orbital rather. He's got a few tanks in range of it. He's got a Widow Mine and a depot wall there. He's got a bunker full. But I would 100% say you should send over probably like maybe 15 Zerglings and like 8 Banelings or something at this base. You should blow up the depot wall with some Banes and roll the rest of them into the bunker. And maybe you won't kill the bunker, but maybe you do some damage to it, and then your Lings get on top of the bunker, and Lings are also getting hit by the siege tanks, which is also splashing the bunker, and maybe you get rid of the depot wall and the bunker, but you don't kill any SCVs this time, you just get rid of the initial defense there. But you create a gap in the defensive Terran, where, let's say the next time you attack him, you try it again, and if he fixes it, well, you just create another gap again, but if he doesn't fix it, now suddenly you get on top of his SCVs, and you start fucking killing a bunch of SCVs, and You need to always multi-prong, essentially, with this kind of a playstyle. You never want to just hit one base every time. Another thing you could do, like I said before, is what if you... And this guy as well, he's got decent defense. But what if you flew Overlord or a Speed Overseer to the edge of his base and you made a Nidus Worm? Then what if he denies the Nidus Worm? But then what if you fly further along the right side of the map, like hug the right side, fly all the way up to the north in the very corner of the map, and you put another Nidus next to his armory in the top right. And you do it while you're doing fights like this. And you just make it super fucking distracting and annoying and confusing for the Terran. You just create multi-pronged situations, essentially. Yeah, no, your creep spread is definitely amazing in this game. Your creep spread is super fucking good. Your creep spread is definitely like masters level, dude, or like high masters. This is nice. But I will say, again, I think I've told you this before. It's harder to spread creep when a Terran player is aggressive about it, about denying it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but the fact that you can spread creep
this early game when nothing happened.
Yeah, your creep spread's very good though. Keep that shit up. That's I praise you on that shit a lot, and it's required to be good at Zerg. So that is a very good thing to already have like mastered and keep working on it always. But yeah, anyways, I don't know, dude. I feel like we went through a lot. I hope we tried to really make this a more technical, like thought-provoking lesson that like about how to like think about how to go through the stages of the game and like how to scout and stuff like that. But do you have any questions about anything we talked about?
No, not right now. I think I need to like listen to this and go through my notes and think through all the stuff.
Yeah,
it was super cool.
Yeah,
very, very, very exciting.
Yeah, because I know I talked a shitload, but I hope like that's why I'll definitely upload the VOD and I'll link it to you so you have access to it.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
No worries, man. And yeah, dude, I guess until next time, good luck. Go.
Thank you.
Go crush some Terrans in StarCraft. Go crush some Ling bane holders. And yeah, dude, thanks again for doing another lesson. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you very much. Have a good stream.
All right, that sounds good. And dude, have a good rest of your night. And take it easy, dude.
Cool. Bye.
See you, man. All right, boys. Whew, I'm fucking tired. That was a lot of talking. I was like an auctioneer right there for a while. But guys, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this lesson was, informative for you. I hope all you guys learned something. But thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. So until then, good luck at your own games. I will see you guys in the next lesson. And until then, take it easy. Much love. And yeah, stay happy, guys. Stay happy, stay healthy. Peace, everybody. See ya.